So we've heard about why stories are important and what makes great stories. Up next is how do you develop your story? The first thing to consider is the plot. We describe story plots as story arcs because it really is a diagram of how your story would pan out against an axis of time. So the ups and the downs, the challenges, the frustrations, the opportunities, or the broad outlooks of life. When you look at story arcs, you would often come across the different types of arcs as described by Kurt Vonnegut, which is a famous storyteller. And the different types of arcs would include the most simple basic ones that are from riches to rags, above to below, from rags to riches, starting low, going up. Or the infamous Cinderella arc that's oftentimes used in Hollywood movies, starting from a really low point, improving, and attaining a happily ever after. So when you think of your story plot or your arcs, you'll be able to inject emotion and the turning points and the twists of your story to make them even more engaging and to inject learning moments in them. So start taking out a sheet of paper and a pen to draw the diagram of your story plot. Along with the story arc that we developed, the next point is to add in the salt and pepper. You do not want your story to be highly predictable, or you do not want your audience to get bored because they think they know where the story is going. So work in the salt and pepper, the twists and the turns, or what I would call sometimes utilizing the five senses to ignite them. Say for instance, if you're telling a story about you learning swimming, ignite them by telling them the smell of the ozone in the swimming pool, for instance. Or if you're telling them about how did you start your business, you might ignite their senses by having them touch one of your earlier products or giving them a sample of your first business card, say for instance, to allow the different senses to be activated in order to add in the salt and pepper of your story. How do you make that story interesting? With an arc, with the salt and pepper, you'll be able to add in a little bit of surprise element in order for your audience to keep engaged. And as with any communication or presentation, aside from the content, the arc, the twists and turns, etc., what is even more important is the how. How do you tell your stories? Don't forget that you need to inject passion, inject enthusiasm, or to alter your tonality as well as your different types of inflections when you're telling a story. We all have heard the phrase, long time ago. We would slightly slow down. We would give a bit of a lower pitch in order to bring our audience back to the past. And as in any story moments, you will need that sort of mini acting to communicate with your verbal, your non-verbal, as well as your tone and your pitch. Because it's with that your audience feels easier to get into your story moment. So aside from the structure, the how actually matters. And as with any type of communication, you will need to do a lot of practice. What I often tell my clients is that you would need to tell a lot of bad stories before you could tell a good story. And it definitely comes with practice. So what I would recommend is for you to start thinking about your life moments, your business moments, and to find the narrative with a central moral that you would like to tell. And then plot it against an arc, add in the salt and pepper, and rehearse it until you've found the story moment. When you've found one good story, chances are you could replicate that and find other good stories to tell in your next business meeting.